So once again, sorry, I'm on mute a while ago. So good evening from Angular Philippines and from good evening from Angular Philippines from for the developers out there, the communities. So sorry, nakamute ako kanina. And once again, once again, thank you for watching us. Thank you again for supporting all the communities and all the tech communities out there to make this event possible. So this is our first meetup, by the way, in August, and hindi lang ito para sa araw na ito, kundi sa full month of August. So may iba't iba tayong speakers. So tune in hanggang dulo at may jam pack to from August. And marami tayong mga na-invite na speakers and experts na makakapag-share ng knowledge nila in Angular. Okay, so before we start siguro, I'll just share the partners and the tech communities that made this event possible in Angular Philippines. So this is Angular Meetup 2021. Once again, welcome to our community. It's learning the basics. So it's the main topic for our event is learning the basics. So our speakers will share their knowledge and expertise in terms of Angular basics. So for the first half of August, our two speakers is just real Maghuyop. So ito yung magiging event natin for this day. And for next Saturday, it's Devlin Dodula, one of the Microsoft MVPs and senior consultant in Meta. So it's basics of ES6 and basics of TypeScript. So tune in, magandang topic to, and personally I know them and they're really experts on these fields. So ito lang yung first half natin, and the second half, we will introduce that later or some weeks. So it's a surprise kung sino pa yung mga other speakers sa event natin. Okay. Also, we are also partnered with PIWA Pilipinas or PWA Pilipinas. It's their second-year anniversary today. So it's also jam packed on their communities. So they also have their talks this month of August. So maraming mga speakers na invited. So it's more of a like conference na, kasi every weekend din sila na may mga invited speakers, and there are also international speakers. So tune in sa event nila for this second year anniversary. So some of their speakers here are their list, and I'm also included as one of the speakers in PWA Pilipinas. So if you want to tune in our talks, so mark your calendars, and ayun, kung sino yung mga gusto nyong attendan, o ano yung mga gusto nyong matutunan about PWA, and not just PWA or front-end development, here are the list of speakers. And also, our speaker for today, Jasil, will be also talking to PWA Pilipinas. Uh, his topic is Signal R. So yun, abangan nyo to. It's the full month of August, so jam-packed to. Marami kayong matututunan. And we are also partner with React.js. So they have an event with Stack League called Minify. So this is a JavaScript competition. So yung mga developers, mga expert JavaScript developers out there, or yung mga ninja developers for JavaScript, join na. So I'll post the link later, or it's also in our group if you want to register in their event. Then we are also partnered with Auth0. So one of our speakers, they are connected with Auth0, or they are the Auth0 ambassadors. So thank you for making this event possible. Okay, so now we'll move on to our speaker for this day. So it's none other than Jessil Maghuyop. He's also one of the community lead of Angular Philippines. He's a technical advisor in Kongsberg Digital at Norway, a web developer, and a volunteer director at Algo Filipino. And his passions are learning and teaching modern web technologies. And his topic for today is basics of ES6. So let's welcome our speaker for this event, Sir Jessril Maghuyop. So hi, Jess.
Hello, guys, rinig niyo ako?
Yep, rinig.
Okay, so let me just quickly share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, um, so yeah, as Seiji mentioned, my name is Mr. Maghuyop. Um, dun sa hindi pa nakakilala sa akin, if you meron ng mga sample projects din sa GitHub, I just created my new GitHub account. You can visit them on GitHub, and then you can also visit my website. So yeah, I'm a currently working as a technical advisor for Kongsberg Digital, and then community leader for Angular Philippines and volunteer director for Algo Filipino. And then I mentioned these are the two um, non-profit organization na volunteer ko ngayon. So the event for today is Angular Philippines, and then Algo Filipino. So, dun sa mga hindi pa nakakilala sa akin, I've been doing tech events or been a tech speaker for I think almost 3 years now or four. Yeah, mostly I represent Angular Philippines. I also do volunteer work for DevCon Philippines, and I did Google, Google Developers Group Philippines or GDG. I did, I think, twice na sa kanila. And then, yeah, aside from that, I do school events. So, these are just the some of the events na nagawa ko na. So, I'm going straight to the topic for today. Um, I'll be discussing in JavaScript essentials to learn modern JavaScript with ES6. So, obviously, um, medyo matagal na yung ECMAScript no or ES6 na lumabas. So, um, obviously, hindi ko ma-discuss lahat, but I did uh, I'll do discuss some of the topics or yung some essentials with ES6, and then let's see if we'll have another event like this, no, or if we can have a part 2 of this specific topic na related sa JavaScript and ES6. So, kasi yun nga, sobrang daming features um, ng ES6 and JavaScript yung mga bago. So, kahit ako yung iba hindi ko pa alam. So, let's see if we can have a part 2 of this. Tsaka medyo late na, so baka gawin tayo talaga. So, first, what is JavaScript, no? Para dun sa mga newcomer or mga career shifter, mga students, yun. Nagsisimula pa lang sa career nila sa development, web development, mobile development, or desktop application development. So JavaScript is originally built as a programming language for the web. And then it is a lightweight and most commonly used as part of web pages. It allows you to implement dynamic features and web pages that cannot be done with only HTML and CSS. So without JavaScript, all you would have on the web would be HTML and CSS, and most likely your web page will be static. You won't be able to have a dynamic content. No? Uh, yeah, so going to a brief history, JavaScript was created for Netscape Navigator, which is a web browser owned by the company Netscape Communication. So, medyo matagal lang ang panahon. So, uh, the man on the right is Brandon Ike. So he wrote the prototype in just 10 days in May 1995 when nag-join force sila with Netscape, siya with Netscape. So the prototype was then called Mocha. And then Mocha was renamed to LiveScript when it first shipped as part of the Navigator browser beta release in September 1995. And then after that, TypeScript was renamed to JavaScript for the um, official release in December 1995. So, para sa mga confused, again, for students or mga newcomers, um, JavaScript is not Java. They're not the same. So, JavaScript or LiveScript was named JavaScript as a marketing strategy, sabi nila. Since at that time, no, I think 1995, nung nirelease nila yung official name na JavaScript, Java is very famous at that time. No? Java as a programming language. So as a marketing strategy, I think they attach yung name na Java dun sa name ng JavaScript. So, madami daw confusion that time, no? Nung nirelease yun. So, akala ng mga tao at that time is they are the same. So, JavaScript history turns to ECMA. So, a brief history na ES6 or ECMA scripts is by 1996, JavaScript was handed over to an international standard scripting language body called ECMA or European Computer Manufacturers Association. So sila yung nagme-maintain ng standards ng JavaScript nung na-handed na sa kanila yung JavaScript. So the scripting language was officially given the name ECMAScript or ECMA 262 or ECMA 262. And then, as of 2012, all modern browsers fully supports ECMAScript 5.1, and then older browser supports at least ECMAScript 3. So, hindi ko na i-discuss kung ano yung mga feature na lumabas during ECMAScript 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. What we'll focus on this talk will be kung ano yung mga meron ngayon. And then on June 17, 2015, ECMA International published the sixth major version of ECMAScript, which is officially called ECMAScript 2015 and was initially referred to as ECMAScript 6 or ES6. Pero alam niyo naman, hanggang ngayon, ang tao pa rin ang tao sa ECMAScript is JavaScript. So what can you do with JavaScript today? So as I mentioned earlier, originally JavaScript was built as part of a scripting language for the browser Netscape Navigator. But now, you can do a lot of things with JavaScript. So you can build mobile games. You can build desktop application with Electron. You can build progressive application with JavaScript, mobile apps, cross-platform scripting language, and then syempre, favorite natin is web application. And then aside from that, with JavaScript, a lot of JavaScript framework na madaming lumabas ng JavaScript framework, which an idea is to make our life as a developer easier. But sobrang dami nila. These are just some of the frameworks, libraries that are capable with JavaScript. So going on to the topics, I'll be discussing variables, how to create variables, how to update them, and then scoping. So var variables can be redefined or updated, uh, only available inside the function that they are created in. So the scope is global when a var variable is declared outside of a function. So later, I'll show some demos based on these statements. No? And then we have let. So declares a block scope, declares a block scope local variable, optionally initializing it to a value. Declare variable that are limited in scope to block, statement, or expression on which it is used. It can be updated but not redeclared. And then last is cons. So like let declaration, cons declaration can only be accessed within the block they are declared. Cons cannot be updated or redeclared. So based on this statement, let's see or let's do a quick sample. Let's see. Right. So let's create or let's declare a variable. Dollar height under fonts first name is equal to let's see. Let's just save that. Check fresh. And then we declared width that's 100. We declared height to 200, and then we declare first name John. So pretty simple, right? So the problem now is with variable, we can we declare it, So 100, let's say this is 300 now, and then if I console that width here, and then I do another console width here. So remember, oops, this should be let. Right. So ano kayong value, no, with the variable. So yeah, as you can see, we were able to update yung initial value ng, ng width from 100 to 300. And then next is what we'll do is I'll create a um, variable function or a function. So, function set is equal to, let's say, for example, okay. So let's see. So let's I'll do a console.log of the variable width. Double-click yung mouse ko. So as you can see, um, again with inside this function, na-update natin yung value ng variable. So first log was inside the function with or inside nito yung first log natin, which is ito. The sorry. So yung log natin na to is 500. So 500, and then the other one is ito, yung last updated value ng width. So the reason for that is since si var yung na-mention natin dun sa slide kanina is the scope only available inside the function that they are created in. So kaya ito hindi siya nag-leak outside. But ayan, and then so this variable hindi siya nag-leak outside. So we were able to maintain yung value na 500 and hindi niya in-override itong width na to kasi with this function block, it can only find one variable. So trap siya inside this. So that's why hindi niya ginilaw itong width natin na variable. Alright. So, ano yung problem sa paggamit sa variable, no? So we have let's say for example let's say length is equal to 5, and then I'll say if length is greater than 0, obviously 5 is greater than 0, and then mag-create ako ng volume dito, and then length times width times 5. And then I'll do a console that log here na the volume is equal to I'll be using yung template string or yung backtick. Pwede tayo mag-concatenate ng value. Let's refresh. Patay na. So as you can see, ito yung value. No? So volume is equal to 1,000. So ano yung problem dito sa scenario na to? So what if I type volume here? So as you can see, even though we declared yung volume dito sa black scope na to, lumabas pa rin yung value niya, no? Kasi nga based dun sa statement natin, si var na variable is a function scope only. So usually yun yung nagkakaroon ng problem sa ganyan, especially if may malaking application using third-party libraries or may mga global variable. No? Kasi nag-leak siya within this black scope. Kasi pang function scope siya. So if we do like something like this, That's volume. So type on volume. So as you can see, hindi siya defined. So what's the best way to fix this? So the best way to fix this is just replace this um, with let. So volume, as you can see, volume is not defined. Kasi, again, going back dun sa ating statement, declares a black scope local variable optionally initialized. So that, within this black scope lang, available itong volume na variable. Right? So, next I'll be um, so I'll show more sample with let and cons. So let's see. Right. So I'll declare a constant first name. Just here, and then let age is equal to 18. Then it's adult. Hindi pa natin siya gagamitin. Pero declare it, and then let's try to redefine yung age. No? So 16. So our expected behavior dito is um, mag-error siya. So going back again sa statement natin, it can be updated but not redeclared. So what you can do is this. Ayan. Page. So it's already updated. 16. And then let's see yung declaring variable with the same name and then in different block scope. No? So let's say age is greater than, if age is greater than 18, let is adult. So, so let's see this adult. So, ang result natin dito is, again, is false since this one is within this black scope lang. So, hindi siya function scope, siya ay black scope, yung let and cons. So, kahit na nag-declare ako or nag-declare ako ng new variable dito na same name dito kay this adult dito na nasa may taas, hindi siya na-override, no? Or hindi rin nag-throw ng error kagaya kanina na ganito. So, iba yung kanina sa age na yung function ng error. Pero within a black scope, okay lang siya kasi wala siyang ibang variable na pangalan within this scope. Pero, again, going back dun sa var, no? Yung problem with var is inaalaw niyo yung ganyan. So, let's see. Inaalaw niya kasi, again, this is black scope, no? Hindi siya function scope. Kaya, um, okay lang sa kanya na na-override niya to. So again, kapag sobrang laki ng application, this became a nagiging problem siya. No? I've experienced this multiple times before, especially nung wala pa yung let cons, and then wala pa yung mga frameworks, especially kasi meron ka laging mga global variable, no? Tapos minsan nauubusan ka na ng pangalan. So i-reuse mo yung isang common na name. Hindi mo alam, may existing na pala naka-declare yun, tapos na-override mo. And it causes, syempre, some problems. And then, next is, let's see yung let versus cons. No? So, again, with let, you're allowed to update yung value. Let's see. And then, first name, which is, first name is a constant. Say John. If I save this, you can see assignment to constant variable. So may type error tayo, assignment constant variable. Meron siyang error. Kasi nga, const cannot be updated or redeclared. And then, next is, I'll create. So, yung isang parang idea with cons and let, or cons specifically, is akala ng mga tao is immutable siya. No? Pero, let's see, let's create an object. Let's put name, John, each, let's see, and then, let's see, person, equal to, yes. So, ang expected natin dito ay, so, ang expected natin is same behavior sa kanila. But, what you can do is, yun nga, ang constant is you can't redeclare, no? You can't update or redeclare. Pero, you can update yung properties within that object. So, let's say, for example, say age is equal to 18, and then names, first, yes. Let's see, or copy ko na lang to, and then refresh this, let's say person, so name is John, and then let's see, then I'll try to update yung two properties, and then I'll type person again. What you can see, we were able to update yung properties within that object. Ang hindi lang natin pwede gawin is redefine. So, and then I've recently released something related to this. So if you want to prevent any modification within this object's property, what you can do is we have this object freeze. So refresh person, okay, and then let's use freeze. Now let's update it again. So update yung age. Then let's type person again. Let's see kung ano na yung value niya ngayon. You can see using object.freeze, we're able to prevent yung modification sa property. So, yung object freeze, seal, and ano yung isa? Object freeze, seal, tsaka prevent extension. They're not actually specific for PS6 features no, sa MDM. Pwede nyo silang i-check. So, see the parang library ano, wiki. So, let's see with um, so so now let's try naman yung ano yung scene. Right. So next is let's see personal the object. Let's see. Let's see. Person. And what we want to do is update natin yung person. And then let's try to delete yung property, no, yung person.delete. So with so let's try to person. So with object.seal, you're allowed to modify yung value ng property ng isang object. As you can see, we updated it to age 25. But you can't delete them, yung properties doon sa object. Okay. And then yung isa is, let's see, prevent extensions. So, ito naman natin gawin. And then, object tapos property. And then, person. Napag natin gawin. Hobby na lang. Let's see. So, it's person. And let's try to prevent extension. Let's try to update person. Oops. Yes. Let's type personally. And so, prevent extension tayo na update tayo ng value ng property. Next is delete natin yung property name. And then let's type personally. So as you can see with object prevent extension, we were able to update yung value ng property. We're able to delete or modify yung object totally kasi remove natin yung isang property. But what hindi natin pwedeng gawin is mag-create ng panibagong uh, yan, property or mag-add ng panibagong with prevent extension, object extension. So yun yung difference ng object seal, object, uh, yung isa natin, seal, freeze, seal, tsaka prevent extension. So next is let's go back to variable. Variable. More example with variable let and cons. Save. So name John, no? Which is tama. Walang tama siya. Problem kasi dito, as I mentioned before, um, may mga libraries nga, di ba, na gumagamit ng mga common variable or naming ng variable. Siyempre yung name, di ba? Napaka-common niya na pangalan ng isang variable. So, ang magiging problem nga dyan is, pagka may mga third-party library ka or sobrang laki ng application and they're using var, chances are may na-modify ka na value na hindi dapat. No? Dyan pumasok yung solution na immediately invoke function expression o yung IIEF. So what it does is instead na ganyan, we created a function that can immediately be invoked or once the application runs, nag-run din siya. I mean, na-invoke na siya agad. Let's see. So yung, as I mentioned kanina, no, meron tayong ring. And then, let's see, we have names. Yes. So, again, this one, since hindi siya sa loob ng function, yung ano niya is nasa window siya. And itong isa is within this IIEF, immediately invoke function. Ano yung naging alternative nito, no? Yung way na so instead of IIEF, so within 6 and using let and cons, you can simply just do this. Again, let and cons are black statement. Okay. So, okay, so next is tayo ng sample. Dito, the name. Okay. So, we're clear with that. Na itong name na to is within just this scope. So, hindi na na-override yung kasi si window kasi is meron siyang meron siyang uh, variable talaga na name. And then, going back to sa next sample, for loop, let's replace this. So let's use var muna. Let's say if var is index is less than 10, log. Okay, as expected. No? Pero again, same with yung sample kanina since si var is function scope lang and yung yung nangyayari sa kanya is yung nagli-leak siya no kasi we didn't use function for this, we used for loop no. So if I type index again, generate tayo ng value but ang main purpose natin for this specific looping is just to have a temporary variable no. And then other problem pa dito is let's say um, that's for example we're getting data sa backend or sa API. So let's just map Ajax call here. So since wala tayong API, I'll be using set timeout no to mock lang yung Ajax call. Let's see. One second. Index is index. Yeah, so let's retain yung console log doon. Ayan. So, ano yung nangyayari dito? So, ano nangyayari dito is we have this console log and na-print niya ng tama yung yung value no which what we expected. But the problem here, our expectation dito sa bandang part na to is um, it should be from 1 to 9 din. No? Pero nangyari at since si variable is ino-override nga niya um, yung value at the end of the loop and then at the same time na nag-invoke yung or by the time na nag-invoke yung timeout, yung value ng ating variable is already at 10, no? Kaya ganun yung naging output niya. But we can fix this by simply just changing this to left. So again, this is a black scope here. See. So let's refresh. Yeah. So compared dun kay var kanina, yun nga, by the time na nag-invoke yung timeout natin, yung value ng variable is already 10. Um, and then for let, no, let's see if mag-delete siya. So, as we expect, hindi siya nag-delete. kasi nga it's within the scope. So that's for our samples for var, and cons. Hopefully, may na-pick up kayo or natutunan kayo for that. Let's move on to hoisting. So hoisting is JavaScript hoisting refers to the process whereby the compiler allocates um, memory uh, for variable and function declarations prior to the execution of the code. So ano ba yung hoisting? Madalas tinatanong to sa mga technical interview with JavaScript. So let's say meron akong variable dito. So let's do hoisting. So I think meron din akong sample style dito. So declaration that made using var are initialized with a default value of undefined. So let's see kung ano yun. Declarations made using let and cons are not initialized as part of hoisting. So again, ito yung sample ng hoisting with var. So let's say we have this variable message, no, variable message hello world. And then before we even assign a value to the variable, we did a console.log. So console.log message. So if we do that, world, and then again, let's do a log before message. Let's see yung sa browser. So, as we expected or sabi nga sa statement, it will become undefined. So, ang behind the scene, ganito kasi yung nangyayari nan sa kapag in-interpret siya ng browser. So, ang nangyayari dyan is, nag-declare na ng variable na message. And then, nilag mo siya. So, etong nasa taas, diba? Itong console log message. Ito yung breakdown yan. Var message, console log, console log message. So, message is undefined, which is ganyan yung nangyari. And then, tsaka pa lang siya na-assign, which is at this stage, no, undefined pa siya. You can see now, kasi nga, so yung tinype ko yung message, it's already defined kasi it's already below. Yun yung sa var. With let and cons, we can't really do something like this. Kasi may error talaga na lalabas, which is good, diba? Kasi common mistake kasi siya na nangyayari. Yan. Cannot access message for initialization. So, with the arrival of let and cons, is var dead sa ES6. So, I found two school of thought, no, sa usage ng var. Itong isa yung currently pina-follow ko. So, use const by default. So, whenever you create a variable, by default, always make it const, no? If hindi ka pa sure kung ano yung magiging future ng variable na yun. So, yan. By default, use const. And then if something happens in the future that it needs to be modified, yung value, that's the time you use let, no? Or update it, change yung implementation, and then update it to let. Only use let if your binding is needed. No? Kasi minsan nagkikreate tayo ng variable, hindi naman alam na oops, kailangan itong. So sometimes medyo bigla na lang natin na-realize siya. Pero yung unang implementation is cons, which is safer. No? And then var shouldn't be used in ES 2015 or ES 16. So yun yung isang school of thought. And then I found another school of thought na ginagamit ng ibang developer. So, sabi nila dito, use var for top-level variables that are shared across many, especially larger scopes. No? Use let for localized variable in smaller scopes. Yun nga, so yung mga for each loop, yung mga if statement. Uh, ito naman, a refactor let to const only after some code has to be written. And you're reasonably sure that you've got a case where there shouldn't be variable reassignment. So medyo baliktad naman yung mindset na. Initially, set mo yung variable to let and then change it afterwards. No? Pero for me, mas safer ito. Pero I guess depende siya sa use case. May mga cases pa rin na you can use yung file. So I think pwede ko itong i-grab mo. Kasi may mga instances din ako na kinagamit ko yung variable yun sa for top level variables that are shared across many, especially like your servers. Yung mga use case talaga kung nagagamit siya. Pero ang mindset ko is use Kongsberg. So next topic would be um, arrow functions. So arrow functions, also known as the fat arrow function, is a synthetically compact alternative to a regular function expression. So familiar naman tayo sa mga nag-JavaScript na before. Familiar naman tayo sa itsura ng regular function expression. It cannot be used as a constructor and does not have its own bindings to this. So if nakapag-develop na kayo ng applications sa JavaScript, familiar kayo sa this na keyword. Sobrang gamit na gamit yan siya. So again, this is what arrow function look like. Arrow functions are always anonymous. Are always anonymous functions. So let's see some samples with so sabi doon, it cannot be used as a constructor. So let's see if we have who's equal to, and then let's see equal to new, and or creating ng class or object. Our expectation dito is we can type error false na constructor. Yan yung ibig sabihin ng statement na yun. Pero moving on with other samples. Let's say that okay. Let's say names, data names. So it's an array. John. So for this, I'll show different ways ng pag-use ng arrow function. So let's say we want to append or concatenate each of the names, and then let's add a last name to each of one of them. So we'll use the map feature, then function, it's names, so names, so then argument or parameter name. Then what we'll do is we'll just return name, and then let's add a last name. Let's say Ito. That's it. And then achieve it. And say earnings. So that's how you do it with yung regular function. No? Um, unti-unti natin siya. So let's do function. And then let's remove this. Full name, and then full name 1. So again, wala naman tayong changes masyadong ginawa doon. And then another one is simplify lang natin siya na simplify. So since for this use case, isa lang yung property itong array, which is string lang siya, may mga name lang. We don't need to use yung parentheses. So we can just simply do this. Kasi isa lang naman yung parameter. But if we add, if may cases na we need to add more, you can add yung parentheses. But for this specific case, you don't need yung parentheses. Full name, full name 1, full name 2. And again, pare-pareho lang sila ng next is regular function. Then this one is arrow function. Para lang alam natin kung nasa tayo. Arrow function. Then next is arrow function implicit editor. Is so implicit return meaning you don't really have to say yung or lagay yung return na word na keyword. So what we can do is remove this and then copy itong string na to. Tanggalin na din natin to. Name 1, 2. So next one is yung if wala kang parameter, no? So ito ay parameter. What you can do is what we'll do is use empty function. And then, since wala nga tayong property or parameter sa use case na to, what we can do is just basically return as load. So lahat yun magiging load. Full name, for puro double lang siya. Kasi wala naman tayong reference dun sa name kasi gumamit tayo ng empty parentheses. So, yun na siya. And so arrow function are always anonymous though. Are always anonymous function. Um, so, tanggalin natin ito. So, what we do is okay, main function. Main, ano lang po tayo. Console.log is fine. Okay, so, yan. Next is, gawa tayo ng object literals. Mag-return tayo ng object literals. Kasama dapat ito dun sa isa. Um, search. Ito yung sample kanina. Now, we will have yung multiple parameters na. So, by default, available yung index na parameter kay map. So, we'll use that. For first is, we call back yung index. Let's look at it. Let's index. Uh, sa isang sample natin kanina, we didn't add yung return, no? Yung implicit return na sample natin kanina. But what if we are planning to return object literals? No? So let's say we're creating a new object based dito sa mapping na to. So let's say I is plus 1. And then let's say name is equal to name. Yeah. So may error ka dyan. So how do we fix this is what we can do is ganyan. Oops. And yeah. But again, if we're planning to use yung implicit approach, cons, cons, users. So what we'll do is, again, mag-implicit return tayo. The way to do that is you can add a parenthesis. No? So as you can see, wala na yung error. So, so there's another way to simplify yung ito. No? So with ES6, If same lang yung name ng property and ng value, no? Yung name ng variable ng property tsaka ng value. What you can do is just remove this and just be insane. Um, so next natin demo is which so next demo natin will be related sa this, no? Let me grab yung this. Style. It's just create a div. Um, class box. Then let's have a box class with under bx. Let's see, so fresh. Um, and then what I'll do is um, let's add a click event dun sa, sa box na div, no? It's box. Then we'll use yung box as reference. Class na box as reference. Let's see. Box. Then we'll bind an event listener to this variable. Again, this is still related sa arrow function. Um, function. Then let's say yeah. So nag-add tayo ng click event or event listener dito sa ating box, and then during click we just log yung this na keyword, no? And as you can see, the this keyword sa scenario na to is referring to the box or the div object. Let's count this out, and then I'll replace it with what if gawin natin yung ano, no, arrow function. um, yung goal nung demo na to is to show yung um, when not to use, parang when not to use yung arrow functions. Kasi baka mamaya sabi nyo may arrow function na, lahat na lang arrow function natin. Uh, let's see yung difference na. So, kuha na lang tayo ng dalawang box. Ay, hindi. Kasi yung box lang naman i-click. Just do this. So, sa case na to, no, yung kanina, using yung yung kanina using regular function, we were able to grab yung target natin, which is yung box But for this case, it return yung value ng window instead of the box. Kasi when using this in a arrow function, it inherits the value from the parent scope, which is in this case the window. So again, hindi lahat um, pwede nang gamitan ng arrow function. No? Kasi kagaya dito sa scenario na to, um, we're targeting yung box, no? Inside this function. Pero with arrow function, yun nga, with arrow function, it inherits yung value from parents. So let's go back with using the regular function, and then what we'll do is um, let's add a toggle. No? So here's this toggle. Um, so let's add a um, a different class. No? So, I'm just gonna make it simple, just changing the folder. Alright, so since we are able to access this keyword inside the event listener, we're able to modify or add some class no, sa box object. Um, and then I'll show something different. No? So let's say let's create a large box. Large box. And then with large box, automatically updates yung height ng box. So what I'll do is take 2 seconds. And then type tayo ng let's start it large box. So we did a click event, and then during click, we toggle yung click box, and then it'll add a background. And then after 2 seconds, it should automatically change yung height. So, yeah. So we have an error here, which is cannot read property toggle of undefined. So why is it undefined? Samantalang dito sa taas, uh, uh, sa bandang taas, nagamit lang natin siya. No? Um, dito kasi, yung yung this dito sa loob ng timeout is not bound to anything. So, ang result nun is magpo-push siya sa window. So, let's see. Enter that like yung this class this. Let's see, no? Let's verify if undefined nga tong class this. Yeah, so undefined nga siya. Let's remove class this. Let's see yung this lang. Yeah. So, ito yung problem, no? So, ang gusto natin mangyari is yung this is should be targeting yung um, in box. No? But in this case, ang naging target niya is yung window, no? Or yung naging value niya is from the window. Kasi nga, yung function na to or yung this na to inside this function is not bound to anything. But remember, with arrow function, yung this is always referring to the parent. So, sino ba yung magiging parent niya sa case na to? So, ito yung magiging parent niya. So, usually yung mga nagiging solution dito is ganito yung usual na solution dito eh. Ganyan, di ba? Ayan. Sige, yung nagiging usual na solution. No? Pero, um, for this specific scenario, we can use arrow function. So, hindi na natin kailangan to. Kasi si arrow function is always gonna um, always inherit yung value from the parents code. So, yung parents code. So, this. So, nandito. We can still use this. Yan. So, as expected, um, yan. So now, we're now able to utilize yung this function, this na keyword. Um, sa loob nitong regular regular function. So, yan. So again, this is just to show yung um, different or when not to use yung arrow function. Kasi yun nga, nagiging common na problem is yung referencing dun sa this keyword. And then, um, it, nagkakaroon ng issue kapag hindi utilize yung this keyword, especially dun sa mga event listeners. No? So, kailangan careful tayo sa paggamit ng regular function tsaka ng arrow function. So, you need to know yung difference. So, next step natin is yung default function arguments. So, parang segue lang since related siya naman sa function. So, what I'll do is I'll just create example function that adds numbers. So, we'll just return 1 plus 2 plus. And then we'll do next. 1 plus 2, 3 plus 3 equals 6. So, tama na. So, what if ang pinas lang natin is one parameter lang. Let's see, kunyari ganyan lang yung pinas. What will happen? So, kapag it's not a number. Kasi, nangyayari dito is console. Yan. So, yung first parameter mo is 1 since yun ang pinasa natin. And second is undefined, third is undefined. So, with function, you can now use yung default value sa function. So, to prevent this from happening, what you can do is let's declare default value. Like, so, nangyayari dito, instead of undefined siya, you are now setting a default value to prevent yung result kanina na um, not a number. Actually, is we passed 1, uh, result natin is 1. Uh, 0. Okay. Yeah, so just a segue with function. Um, so next is yung mga other um, reason when not to use yung um, arrow function. No? So let's say I have a object person. So to name John and age, let's say 18. Then we have inside this object we have a method or function. Let's celebrate yung birthday ng user. Ganyan lang. And then, what we'll do is, every time na may invoke yung method na to, or yung function na to, um, let's just increase yung age ng user. So, let's see. And object is person, at property name, age, tsaka yung celebrate birthday. So what we'll do is let's celebrate birthday. So let's invoke him. So what we assume, since nag-birthday na siya, dapat ang age niya na is 19. The problem here is it's still 18. Kasi, let's see what's happening inside this method. Yan. So again, ang nangyayari dito is yung this na keyword is bind dun sa window. Nagre-reference siya sa window instead na dito sa person. So, how do we fix it? So, again, since ang concept na to is when not to use yung arrow function, let's just go back to a regular function for this specific use case. Tingnan ko yung birthday niya. So, as you can see here, yan. So, ito, in-invoke natin yung celebrate birthday na method or function. And then, remember, inside that we have this. So ngayon, sa console natin, nag-print yung disk. So instead of window, the disk keyword is now referring to the object. And then when we invoke yung celebrate birthday, we now have access to the age. So which is what we're doing here. So this age, and then we're just increasing it. So what are other cases when not to use arrow function? So when not to use arrow function is when you um, need to add a prototype method doon sa isang object. So, when adding a property. So, mag-create ako ng class. Say, class. So we have name and age. And then it's, it's name, it's equal to name, it's the age. Age. Then what I'll do is I create a instance of this object. Let's do person. Shadow. Random. Just add separate or different each. So let's see first before I add a prototype. So one, perfectly. Again, let's see kung access natin yung person. Yan, access natin yung person. Let's just do it here. So what I'll do is person dot person yes, mag-add ako ng basic profile is equal to, and then I'll create a method that returns a string. So I'm using arrow function for this muna. Return and then so this that we this done this years, and then okay, let's see. User one, two, and then uh, I added yung profile. So let's see. Ayan. Kinukuha yung name dun sa ano natin sa window. Lalo ko yung browser ko. Let's just change yung name. Let's just say this is first. Let's change first name. Refresh. And then so as you can see here, yung name is undefined, yung age is undefined. No? So same with the user. Kasi we added yung prototype method sa mismong class. No? You're extending your class. So how do we fix this? Let's not use arrow function. So refresh. And so now we have access means um, sa 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 properties mo within the object. So, we're now able to have access to them. So, um, ang sample tree natin is when not to use again yung arrow function is when you need the argument object. No? So every function has a argument object. No? May access siya sa parameters. So when you need to access or when you need arguments. So I'll create lang, let's say, is users equal to, again, arrow function, use arrow function for this, and then users is equal to array. Tapos, kunin natin yung array from the arguments. Tayo saan galing pa arguments na to. So, wala tayong binigay na arguments. So, something function. Let's say, return natin yung um, users. Pop lang natin. Let's just see yung user. And then index natin. Index. So, simple lang. We're just returning yung mga users. So, save this and this. Say, let's say I need just one. I need. And so, nakita nyo na arguments is not defined. So, again, to fix this issue, we just have to replace yung ating arrow function ng regular function. Since arrow function does not have access to the arguments object. So, para makita natin ito, meron dito sa arguments nito. So, yeah. So, ito yung print natin ng arguments. We have access sa mga parameters within that function, and now we're able to use it. Index plus 1. Okay. I think yun lang for arrow function. Let's see. Next natin is, I think last two topics. I'll make it fast. This is template string. This is a new feature sa E6 which I've been using kanina pa. Yung backticks. Let's see. What I'll do is, I'll open na lang yung sample or yung existing application. I think last two topics na lang. Okay. So, uh, just using so I'll have a um, so this is, let's say this is yung sample lang. So as I mentioned, kanina ko pa ginagamit yung template strings. So with this, you can so before, no, the way we do concatenation is this. So concatenate here, let's name as so plus natin yan as as ito yung version natin dati. So let's send this message version 1 and then let's GSM icons simple. With this we can add yung mga variable natin by enclosing it in the dollar sign and then curly braces. And you don't have to create a string and then cut it and then concatenate it using plus. So it does the same thing. C. So CG1 and CG2. Pareho lang. And then, ibang place kung saan natin, kung saan useful yung template string is, let's say, we want to loop, no? I just provide siguro mga three samples na template string. Pero madami pa siyang use case. Maybe we can visit it some other time. Pero, sample 2, uh, let's say, let's say array yes. So what we can do is using a markup, utilize natin yung template string. So let's say let's display yung value ng markup sa internet. So again, with template string, pwede ka mag-multi-line, which is helpful. One. String. So we can use again yung itong curly braces. We can do looping here, which is useful. Let's see. people.map. Map lang natin yung laman ng object, which is ito. And then, instead we're, we're using yung diniscuss ko kanina, which is implicit return. You don't need to say return. So with this, I can just use just put this inside uh, this. Pero downside lang dito is wala kang IntelliSense. It's- Unless um, unless you're inside na. Um, I'll display na lang yung yan lang, simplihan lang natin. And then we'll do this. Okay. So, nangyayari dyan is hindi hurry kasi yan eh. So, just use join and then spaces. See? So, yung isang way nun paggamit um, sa template string. So, you can look yung templates. Another one is just copy to sample 2. And render function. So, people content. So, again, we declared an object, uh, people name, age, and then hobbies. And then with this, we created a function of hobbies that accepts a parameter na hobbies. So again, we're just looping yung mga hobbies. So ito. Yeah. So we have our markup here. So let me just let's medyo readable. So again, we created a div. Inside the div, we display the name, and then we display the age. And then the only difference here is instead of we're directly using this in here, uh, instead of doing this, instead of doing this, we created a function that does one specific thing, which is to return a list of hobbies based dito sa parameters. And so this is yung rendering function. I think gamit na gamit to sa React. I tried using React before. Gamit na gamit tong concept nito doon. And then we'll switch to the I think last topic no for now. Yes, I think it's very late na din. Let's discuss yung the structuring. No? I've noticed marami kasing um, napapaliw dito sa structuring. So what I'll do is just open up existing application. So this, right. So for example, we have this like velocity structure. So structuring assignment. The structuring assignment syntax is a JavaScript expression that makes it possible to unpack values from arrays or properties from objects into a distinct variable. So let's say we have before how you do it is probably or yung hindi ka content structuring. Ang gagawin siguro is uh, and basically how you do it. But with the structuring, you can simply, let's say, have this fonts numbers. Index 0 and index 1. A, B, right? The numbers. Numbers is 10, 20. So A is 10, B is 20. But with capturing, you can do like this. No? Change this numbers. A stands 20, C is 10, B is 20. So we just basically passed yung uh, array and then um, based from the index it gave us the value. One thing na useful din ng structuring is let's say we're switching values, no? So again, C is 10, D is 20. For may use case ka na you need to switch yung value. Um, let's use let na lang. Sige, mag-assign tayo ng value. So CD is equal to so originally CC is 10. So C is equal to 10 and then B is equal to 20. And then we're switching values by destructuring. Switch values by destructuring. Now, ang mangyari dito is C is equal to 10. B is equal to 10. Let's see. Or maybe we can 10, 20, and then 20. So then we'll use let's see. It's here. So one other thing is using its object. So similar to this, I can create a first, last, and then that. And then ang ipapas ko lang is person. So automatically, um, what um, what what I'll do is um, hanapin niyo yung properties na first dito sa person object if existing. And then you automatically assign yung value. uh, person. Then, console. So, first, that's so our person object has um, first name, last name, and then country. And then using in the structuring, we're able to have um, yung first name and last name na variable. So, first, last. Again, and another weird example for the object. Um, i-add na lang dito. Okay, I just added this link. Created a Twitter value, and then from person that links that social. So person that links that social. Save. Okay. So what happened here is from social, let me the property Twitter, which is this, and then um, assigned it to a variable named tweet. Same with Facebook. Um, from Facebook assigned to a constant variable FB. So last sample is this. Okay. We created a constant variable settings with width and color. And then created yung we added yung height tsaka yung font size. No? Or we created height and font size, and at the same time updating the value of width. So, settings, settings, color. Yes. We're just using this structuring. Um, and I think, um, let's see. I think that's all I have for this talk. Um, and then, if you guys want more, maybe we can set up another event that focuses on JavaScript and ES6. Kasi as I mentioned at the beginning, sobrang laki ng ES6 or JavaScript. May ibang features nun kahit ako hindi ko pa din na-utilize masyado. So, maybe we can have a part 2 or part 3 until siguro kuha natin sila lahat or ma-discuss natin sila lahat. Let's wait for CG if meron siyang announcement.
Yep. Yeah, hi Jess. So, yeah, thank you for the talk, Jess. So, ayun, that's a great talk. At I think wala tayong questions dun sa ano natin, dun sa live stream natin. Sobrang kumpleto nung halos nung na-discuss mo about sa ES6. Ayun, siguro ano na lang for the viewers na lang din, yung mga siguro common questions na tinatanong with regards to ES6. So siguro just first question is, ano yung tingin mong advantage ni arrow functions ni ES6 compared dun sa functions ni ES5?
And so for me personally, um, yung pinaka-advantage na siguro makukuha kay arrow function is yung readability. No? Uh,
Mm.
yun na yung pinaka ano, sa kanya, yung personal parang preference. Pero yun nga, as I mentioned or during the talk na pinakita ko, um, may mga times lang talaga na um, na hindi natin laging pwedeng gamitin lagi yung, yung arrow function. Pero mas readable siya, tsaka less code or less typings.
Yup. Okay. Ayun. Siguro, ayun. Next question, yun, may nag-message sa akin. Next question is yung sa about sa spread operator. So, parang, ayan, ano yung functionality niya o paano siya nangyayari behind dun sa spread operator? Kasi under din kasi siya ng ES6, di ba? Yung sa spread.
Yeah. So, and originally, diniscuss dapat natin yung spread operator.
Mm.
Actually, partner yan with the arrow function, or not naman specific sa arrow function, or function in general. Spread operator and then rest parameters. No? Basically, for rest operator, um, you can create an array, no, from using yung spread operator. Or yung parang spread syntax, which is siya yung iterable. So object siya na iterable.
Yup. Yun. I think parang yun lang naman yung mga questions natin for now. Malinaw. Sobrang detailed kasi nung naging talk natin. Ayun, guys, if you have questions pa kahit matapos na tong live stream, so iwan nyo lang dun sa comments. Pwede naming balikan. And other inquiries or questions, ayun, don't hesitate to message Angular Philippines or us leads if you have inquiries. Ayun, I think that's all for now for our session. Once again, siguro I'll just uh, project our sponsors and partners. So once again, this event would not be possible if with our community partners. Number one is PWA Pilipinas. It's also their second anniversary. So ano din, manood din kayo ng mga talks nila not just in Angular Philippines but on their second year anniversary. So marami silang speakers na para sa mga developers. So it's like almost like a conference kasi around 10 speakers ang in-invite nila for this event. So yan, for some sneak peek of sino yung magiging speakers. So it's full of month from the month of August. So parang sa Angular PH. Then, ayun, once again, magto-talk din kami ni Jess dito. So, in PWA Pilipinas. Then, in React.js Philippines, so they have their event in what they call Minify. So, this is a JavaScript competition. So, mga JavaScript developers out there, so don't be shy. Show them your skills, your talents in solving algorithms. And also, we also thank Auth0 for providing speakers for us. So tune in. Yung pinakita lang namin speakers is just the first half of August and other half is may mga speakers tayo from Auth0. And basically, that's it. So thank you, Jess, sa pag-speak ngayon sa session natin. And thank you for all the viewers sa Sa mga ginabi, ayan, salamat sa pakikinig and hoping na mas marami kayong natutunan. And sa mga next events natin, I'm sure na mas marami pa tayong matututunan also and tune in dun sa mga magiging topics natin. And once again, thank you from Angular Philippines and all the developers and good night.